Welcome to Winning Inside, the show where we follow the journey from feeling defeated to winning. Here are your hosts, Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman.
Hello, amazing people. Welcome to the Winning Inside podcast, where we discuss real issues, insights, and solutions to help you thrive in your day-to-day lives. We know life happens, and we can choose to be a spectator or a participant.
These conversations and stories are about the participants, the ones who made the choice to do the inner work and found a way to keep moving forward.
Michelle, it is so good to see you online today. How are you?
Very specific.
I know.
Cheddy, it is so good to be seen by you.
I don't know. I've been missing you this week. I've just been super busy, so we haven't chatted that much. So I feel like I've been in a little Michelle drought. So yes, it is really good to see you.
It's good to see you too, buddy.
I know people are like, dude, you see her every week. What are you talking about? But you have to understand, like, Michelle is special people. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I just, it's funny that you said it's so good to see you. And I realized it's so good to be seen. And that right there is, it's the topic that we wanted to discuss today. Being seen.
Being seen.
Being seen.
What a beautiful topic. I tell you, this one, it can go in so many different ways and so many different places. But how many of you listening to this have ever felt like you are not seen for who you really and authentically are? If you've ever felt that in any space, you know what it feels like to not be seen. And then if you've been recognized for who you are and how you feel and what you do, and you've been seen for the essence of who you are, how that feels. If you've ever felt both of those, then you know the difference. And if you haven't, think about times in your own lives where you were seen or not seen, because it's a beautiful thing to be seen. I'll say that.
It sure is. And this is such an interesting topic for me personally. So, growing up, I am half Filipino and half Caucasian. My mother was born and raised in the Philippines. My father, American, here on the East Coast, pretty white. And a lot, if anybody's listening and you have any knowledge of the military, most people are like, oh, Navy. And I'm like, yeah. It's very, I'm based in San Diego. I grew up here. Yes, my dad was in the Navy. He was an air traffic controller in the Navy. Met my mom overseas. They fell in love, and here we are. And they're still together, and it's pretty awesome. But growing up, it was interesting because I grew up in a rather mixed community at the time. So at the time there was a lot of, it was very multicultural in Mira Mesa, which it's predominantly, I'd say, Asian right now. There are a lot of Asian ethnicities that are based in Mira Mesa. And I'm so grateful for having been raised in a multi-ethnic, multicultural community. I feel very at home in that space. And yet, having been half Asian and half white, I knew from a very young age that I wasn't white, and I didn't really feel comfortable or like I fit in with a all white crowd. And yet on the Asian side, predominantly Filipinos, so I had a lot of Filipino friends growing up, I never felt like I was Asian enough, right? My mom actually refused to teach my sister and myself Tagalog when we were young because she's first generation, American. So she's saying like, hey, learn English. It's more important for you to learn English. And so she wanted us to focus on our studies and just be really good at that. And all of our Filipino friends, many of them, most of them spoke Tagalog with one another. And so I just never really, really felt like I fit in with them. And so I didn't really fit in with the Filipinos, and I really didn't feel like I was white. I knew I wasn't white, right? So it left me in this sort of state of limbo. And the idea of being seen is such an interesting one when I wasn't even sure who or what I'm supposed to be seen as or by, right?
Yes.
So being seen is such an interesting conversation. But as I've grown up, it's not so much that I have to fit in with one or the other. And it took me a long time to realize this. I mean, I'm just talking about like recently. Sometimes you just want to like palm to forehead. You're like, oh my God. Yeah. How did it take me so long to get here? It's more about just the acknowledgement of like, hey, I know that you're not white. And like, are you comfortable? Are you cool? Like, are you comfortable here? Do you feel comfortable in this space? Right.
Yeah.
It's being seen is about the acknowledgement of like, I see you for who you are. I see you as you are. And none of that changes how I interact with you. I want you to know that like, I honor and value like all these little facets of who you are. Right.
Yes.
And so again, it's not just about race. It could be even about personality. It could be about, orientation, occupation, like
likes and dislikes,
yes,
preferences,
everything,
the whole
all
gamut.
the nuances, all the facets, like all the beautiful facets of the gems that we all are. Right.
Yes.
And just really just acknowledging and honoring it. I mean, we don't have to call it out in like this super awkward, like non-relevant space. Because it could get real weird real fast,
Yes.
But also having compassion when somebody's like, hey, are you comfortable if we go over here? And it's like, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Thank you. That's important. I feel honored. I feel that people see me. And
Yes.
I have been in relationships where people have said, oh no, I think you're white. I just always assumed you're white. I picture you as white. I think of you as white. And I was like, that actually I felt a little sick to my stomach because I'm like, but that's not my truth. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
And I realized that this absolutely, it was sort of an eye opener and has like this segue to, and please, everybody forgive me if I mess this up, that Cheddy, help me with this, BTQIA plus. Yes. I literally said this like 10 times before. And I think I even added IA to you.
You sure did.
And I'm still going to mess it up.
It's because you're overthinking it.
Thank you. Don't overthink things.
Yep.
There's a correlation there of like, it's not my truth. It's not how I see myself, no matter how you perceive me.
Right.
And it was like, my brain just exploded because I was like, oh my God, I get it. And I've gotten it my whole life, but I finally now really, really can feel it and believe it and sense it in the core of who I am. And I like want to honor and respect all the communities that make up that beautiful flag and all the flags.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So Cheddy, I'm passing it back over to you. I know you have your own story too, but I wanted to share a little bit about my experience of not being seen and not knowing my place growing up and how that really, translated to my sort of awakening and opening to the LGBTQIA plus communities.
No, it makes sense. So you want me to go into my story too? I can.
Yeah. Well, because I think it's it's so cool. And it helps people to really know you, right?
That's true. That's absolutely true. Well, off the bat, I consider myself to be a square peg in a round hole because I just don't fit, but I make myself fit. I mean, I just feel like I fit nowhere, therefore I fit everywhere. And I've used that as a strength. And I'll tell you, growing up as a child, teenager, young adult, that was a weakness to me. But here you have a guy who's born in London from parents who are Jamaican, who moved to America. 3 totally different cultures. I consider myself to be a New Yorker, by way of London, that's of Jamaican descent. But I will tell you, if I go to Jamaica, I'm a foreigner. If I'm foreign. If I go to England, I'm a Yank. Like, wait, what? And if I go to New York or anywhere in the States, I'm a Brit. So people like to stovepipe me and silo me and put me where they think I fit. But I don't think I fit wholly and solely in any of those. Because yes, I like my fish and chips, but I like my rice and peas too. And I like my New York style pizza. I like them all, because those are all parts of who I am. So I understand what you're saying. I mean, I had someone tell me, I'm a black guy. I think I'm a black guy. I'm a black guy. And I'm talking to somebody, I was in North Carolina, and I was talking to somebody about something, and they were making a comment about something, and they said, that doesn't apply to you because you're not black, you're English. Wait, I can't be black and English? But according to this person, and it wasn't said in jest, it was said as if it was a fact. Like, well, you're not black, you're English. I'm like, oh, okay. So they just crammed me, if you think about it, they crammed me into this pipe that I didn't fit into and shoved me all in there because my experience couldn't be similar to their experience because I couldn't experience blackness because I'm English. I was mystified. And then you looked for the punchline and you're waiting like, you're joking, right? And then you realize they're not joking. They said that like it was a fact to them. So in their eyes, if I ever had an issue where I felt I wanted to talk about my experience of being a black male in the South, they would have disparaged that or discounted it because there's no way you could know what that feels like because you're English. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but it minimalizes you when you think about it. It marginalizes you. It diminishes who you think you are. And until that point, I always just thought myself as a black guy. But then I realized maybe I'm not black enough for someone, or maybe I'm too black for someone else. I don't know. But I do know this. I have learned that I'm going to be Cheddy Ched. Cheddy's going to be Cheddy because I know how to do that. And it entails a little facet of all of those things. And I look at it like when we use the word facet, which we both use that word, I love the word facet because when I think of facet visually, I think of a brilliant diamond. And all of those sides, all of those facets on a diamond lead to its brilliance and its radiance and its fire. And if you start to cover up some of those sides, it starts to look a little lackluster. It doesn't have the same shine, it doesn't have the same brilliance. So for me, my brilliance is having all of these facets, which is the authentic me, the genuine me, the true me, the radiant me. So I want to be radiant. I want to radiate and I want to shine. I want to glow and I want to be my best version of myself. And that requires me identifying and recognizing all the parts that make me up. And it's nice if somebody else recognizes those parts too.
Do you feel recognized when I call you sparkly?
That's 3 weeks in a row you brought up the word sparkle. And yes.
I skipped last week just to, but I did hit the 2 before that. So I'm sorry. But I love it and I love you. So.
Love you back. Love you back. You know
that was so well spoken. And again, there's so many ways for us to look at being seen and the power behind it. And in truth, we want to offer that, you show up with courage in acknowledging individuals' differences in a kind, compassionate, caring, and just kind of open way, right?
And
that it's okay. Yeah.
I'm just going to give you this is still you, but just call it compassionate curiosity. That's it. That's all it is. Being curious in a compassionate way. Ask the questions that you want to know about and just, you can celebrate things. You may realize that you like certain things that they like too. You just never know. But go ahead, Michelle. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you didn't at all. You're totally good at whatever it is, whether it's simply a simple acknowledgement, whether it's asking a question, asking permission. Hey, are you comfortable if I acknowledge this? And the reason why I do it is I want you to be comfortable with me and understand that I recognize our differences and I honor them in a way that we can both grow from interacting through our differences versus just sharing our similarities. So this does not have to go the path of politics.
No. We are apolitical.
That being said, it's applying the same idea in communication. When we acknowledge the differences of our political values, even, right? Yes. Instead of attacking the differences, when we acknowledge them, then we can actually come to the table with open and compassionate dialogue and see if there is a way for us to move forward together. And so it's not just politics. It's, it's any kind of, if it's a cultural difference, if it's a difference in lifestyle, whatever it is, we can recognize and honor the differences. I see why you feel this way. I see that you are different in this way and that I am different in this way.
Yes.
And I understand how you feel that. How can we continue forward together? How can we grow together? How can we work past this? But together, it's all about doing it together and doing it with, as you said, compassionate curiosity, right?
Yes.
It's so key to how we approach differences in our lives. But it all starts with recognizing and acknowledging those differences and allowing someone else to experience the power of being seen for who they are, for what they believe, for the values that they hold, and truly, truly respecting where they are at in their life right now.
Yes.
And seeing where you two or the group of you can move forward together.
Yes. I will tell you, doing exactly what you said and celebrating people's differences, being curious, learning about people, enables you to do a few things. It enables you to get a greater understanding of the human experience and realize that there are many ways that people exist that may be different than yours. But it also helps you to get rid of some of your generalizations, because I will tell you, when you start to realize, at least for me, when you start to realize, oh, you like those things too? Okay, but based on the stereotype, you're not supposed to like those things, or whatever it is. Because here, I'll tell you right now, stereotypes don't really work too well for me, because guess what? I don't play basketball very well. I mean, if you give me a basketball, I'm not the guy. Like, really and really. My son and my daughter can play basketball because they have skills. They didn't learn that from me because it's not my thing. So if that's a stereotype you have, I'm going to disappoint you. And I realize a lot of those stereotypes are based on what you know. Doesn't mean they're true. And it could be true, but it doesn't mean it's wholly and totally true. There could be other factors. So you really want to learn more about why we say the things we say. And because if we generalize, we act based on our generalizations. We treat people based on our generalizations, and they may be so off the mark. So you never get to deal with a person for who they are and where they are. You never meet them where they are. You meet them where you think they should be. That's not fun. When someone tells you you're not Black, you're English, well, then I can never have a conversation with you about how I feel as a Black male. That sucks. That has just limited our interaction and our ability to communicate, because you don't see me wholly. And according to you, I can't have a shared experience with you because I'm different to you in your eyes. That it's funny because it seems like it was just it was a phrase, it wasn't even a whole sentence, but those words stuck. That's probably over 20 years ago, but those words stuck because it affected me in a way. I was like, wow, this person who I thought was very similar to me apparently isn't, and doesn't see me as anywhere near as similar to them. So it made me question the relationship a little bit. Like, am I just like a circus clown to you? Am I like a novelty? And you wonder sometimes, am I a novelty to you? Am I like some kind of random celebrity type thing where you're like, look at the shiny object over here. And it threw me off a little bit. I mean, it really did. So I just think about my experience. How many times do we do this to other people? And Michelle, I'll give you one. You might hear this a lot. Well, I don't see color. Well, I do. I do. So in the Marine Corps, we used to say, when I first joined the Marine Corps, like a few days ago, they would say things like, we don't have Black and white Marines here. We only have one color, and it's green, light green and dark green. I'll tell you, as a young Marine, I was so confused. I'm like, wait, what? There's no part of me that's green. Maybe internally, there's no part of me that's green unless I'm really sick. And I thought it was very and I understood why they did it. I knew what they were trying to say. But when you say that to me, you don't see me as being Black or white or anything. You just see me as green. You don't see me, is what you're telling me. You don't see me. I think you can see me and I can describe myself, and you can describe me as you see me. And then we can go and you can treat me like a Marine on a baseline and treat every Marine the same at some degree, still recognizing who I am. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive, but a lot of times we do separate them out, and there's no need to. There's no need to. It really goes back to finding common ground. And you know me, Michelle, I'm always looking for common ground with people, because you can get rid of a lot of stuff. If we can drill down to a point where we both agree on something, we can start the dialogue there. Unfortunately, where do most people start dialogues? Where they disagree and where they oppose. But think about it. At some point, there's something that you and I like, Michelle, and we can talk on that. And then we can build from there. And now that we're talking and we have a relationship, we can now learn and discover the things that we are opposed with. You may find out you're closer than you think. You may find that out. So give it an opportunity to give yourself the chance and the ability and the opportunity to discover the deeper version of a person, the deeper meaning of that person, the deeper relationship. You know what I mean? Get closer with a person because it's out there. But we have to enable ourselves to be a little vulnerable and ask questions in a way where we're not being offensive. Because I will tell you, and I may be wrong, and please give us some feedback if you disagree. When you say you don't see me for who I am, that is very disparaging. That says you don't see me, which then goes into you don't acknowledge me, which means there's no way you can respect me because you don't even see me. Those things make you feel a certain way, and the way that it makes you feel is not good.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. the comment bringing it all the way back to when people say I don't see color, and as I've told you before, I've never ever heard a Black person say that, and I'm sure there are, but I've never heard them, and I've never ever heard an Asian person say that.
Right.
I've only ever heard white people say that. And it's not to say anything negative about them, because I actually think that the intentions are incredibly good and kind. The intention is kind and wanting people to understand and experience, equality and being treated the same.
Yes. But
when we can't acknowledge the fact that there are differences, whether it's the color of our skin, if it's the food we eat, if it's the, where we grew up, whatever it is, if we don't acknowledge those things, then we aren't really even going to be aware of the filters that we perceive people through. Yes. And how we listen through certain filters of our own environment and evolution and how we grew up. Those are all filters that have been instilled in us in how we perceive communication and, interaction and energy and personalities. All of those filters are there, but we're not going to be aware of our own filters if we can't, at the very minimum, acknowledge the differences between us. And that is including the color of our skin.
Yeah. I'm just a firm believer that there is strength in diversity. I have always been a firm believer that I think that is one of the strengths of our military, is that we are extremely diverse. I have never seen that as a weakness. I think it's the thing that makes us so good, because where I'm deficient, somebody else is strong. Where I don't know something, somebody else is aware. And it just enables us to be more available to more people, more able to solve problems and do things, because we're so diverse. And I love that. And all right, I'm going to go back to my Voltron because I love Voltron. If you've ever heard of the cartoon Voltron from the 80s, it was 5 lions. I love my 5 lions. I love Voltron. But you had 5 lions and they were all different. They had different powers, different backgrounds. But when they had to fight a certain kind of monster, a road beast would come and they had to destroy this villain. They would have to form together. Those 5 lions would turn into one robot. So they used their diverse strengths and powers and abilities, formed together to make a stronger robot that was able to defeat the enemy. Happy every 30 minutes they would win and do it again next week and win again. And I love that, because you realize that someone's good at math, someone's good at speaking, someone's good at writing, someone's good at planning, someone's good at leading. And all those people together can make something go forward. Somebody's a visionary, somebody's a supporter, somebody's a dreamer, somebody's analytical, somebody's artistic. And all of those things can help you get where you're going if that's what you need. So you never know what people are bringing to the table. But if you're willing to be accepting and see people for who they are, they can then live in their strength zone, in their place of focus, flow, genius, strength, whatever you want to call it. They can operate in that space because you see them for who they are. Therefore, you get the best version of them, and they can give you the best version of themselves. That's just beautiful. Just beautiful.
Voltron.
Yes. Voltron. I don't know why it came up.
In honor of Comic-Con that is in San Diego this weekend, maybe.
I should go. I want a Voltron t-shirt now. I should go to the Comic-Con so I can see if I can get a t-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Because I would have gone the route of a basketball team, but you went to Voltron.
It's where my mind is. Hey,
I love
my
it.
Difference. That's where my mind is.
I love it. I think, plus I can completely relate because I completely watched that show. I am definitely a child of the 80s.
Yes.
It's just awesome. But why did lions create a robot? Why lions?
Who knows?
Anyway,
Early Japanese
tangents.
Pretty cool. Love it.
The last thing I just want to say is we want to also honor and respect not just, between Cheddy and myself, like our differences. And that's the power we see in working with one another, but just the differences of the people who are listening. And
Yes.
we absolutely love and honor and respect you. And thank you for listening. We appreciate everything that you've done for us so far and the feedback messages. You can find us on Instagram. We've gotten texts from people and it's just been so kind and so wonderful. So thank you.
Definitely appreciate you. Totally grateful. And if you've enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, follow, share, and most importantly, use whatever adds value to your amazing life.
And remember, even if life puts barriers in our way, we are still moving forward. Sign in each week for a new episode of Winning Inside.
Thank you for listening to Winning Inside with Cheddy Matthews and Michelle Wickman. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to click the follow button, rate and review at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, or wherever you get your podcast. You can connect with Cheddy and Michelle at winninginside.io. Keep listening. Another episode is coming soon.